Reverend Slim said he tried to call in to praise Chana's work with the Atmos clips, but the phone lines were hot.
They were.
They were.
Let's see if this is him. Let's see. Might get lucky. Hello?
Hello, hello.
Who was this?
Jeremy Anderson?
Yeah,
what's up, buddy?
There it is. What's up,
I'm
Jeremy?
kidding. What's up?
Hi. I felt the need to call in just to say to the person who claimed that it wasn't worth doing that experiment. It absolutely is. It gives us a context. What Chana was doing with that, even if I don't necessarily strictly agree with his underlying theory or speaker layout, like, it does let you hear for yourself what the difference is in how we hear these things. So it's important to do. Joe and I had a long conversation. I think the end result of that was one person might hear elevation better than overhead, and for them, it might be preferable to have it a certain way. I think at the end of the day, we should all hear different people's setups and use that knowledge to figure out what's best for us.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that part.
It's worth doing.
Yeah. How it was like, do you prioritize hearing the heights more clearly, or do you prioritize the cohesiveness of the height and the ear level? You know, one setup might be better suited for one and the other one is better suited for the other thing. So
and you might just generally hear that aspect of your hearing better. And so for you, it will sound better to have it one way than another.
Right.
So,
keeping up with the Joneses says you're too logical.
I want people to understand, like, Chana and I have never really argued.
You really should try it. It's fun.
Discussions about this stuff. So,
yeah, no, it's one of those things where, like, look, dude, I want to know what's going on. And, you know, I'm not getting paid for any of this Atmos stuff I'm doing. Like, you know, the people that are getting paid to mix a movie and stuff like that, they're probably like, man, it took me this long just to do this one effect in this one scene. I'm just going to kind of put the score up there and just roll with it. Cause like, I'm not going to make my deadline. So like, there's a lot of factors that play when we, like in a lot of these movies, like, it's a 2-hour movie. How much cool Atmos is happening? A minute, if we're lucky, right?
Well,
so,
Bullet Train recently went that way. There's like maybe 2 minutes of height movement at all.
yeah. So it's kind of like, well, damn, you know, and to make like a 5 or 6 minute like full on dynamic Atmos mix, dude, that's gonna take a long time. That's going to take a lot. And if I'm going to put that much time into it, like, I want to make sure like everybody hears it like the way I'm doing it. And that's kind of like my frustration of the whole thing.
Well, and a lot of people don't realize that sometimes this stuff is so involved, they actually have a separate person taking the music stems to do some Atmos work with it versus the person who's actually doing the effects stems. So there's a lot involved, and I think the more time they have with it, Dune is the perfect example where they let the sound team work from the beginning of production, and that is absolutely the reference desk for Atmos.
Yeah. I did hear from a few other Atmos mixing engineers that they get a 7.1 mix from the studio. So that's already done. And then like a folder with all the effects and all that stuff like that, the sound effects and stuff. So they just kind of like, so they go in and just kind of fill it in, I guess, right? The Atmos.
Well, they get the stems that they're wanting to be used for heights with notes on how they generally wanted it.
Right.
So you know, I guess here's what I want to make clear is like, what part of Chana's thing do you not necessarily agree with?
Trying to make the interface on the renderer match up to your room isn't really ideal. I mean, like you were saying earlier, I do think it is more designed for theatrical space, and then the home version is kind of an afterthought. Because, you know, they have to work within DSP limitations. Ideally, they would have accounted for some of this stuff and had it adapt a little better. but I think you are limited in, you know, just how much processing power your average AVR would have, as opposed to something like a Trinoff where they can kind of shift the image virtually around to suit your room space. But that's about it. I think they're trying to kind of split the baby and give you a mix of good elevation and good overhead with a limited number of speakers.
Yeah.
So
I think, would it be fair to say that what Chana is saying is true, though, that because there isn't a height speaker directly above the speaker, the ear level speaker, that he can't pan it directly upward using that render? Like, it's a limitation.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. And it's interesting. Again, part of the reason why this experiment was worthy, it's interesting to see the difference in approach with something like Auro, where they're depending on that, you know, having the identical ear level and height layers for specific moves like that. Whereas with Atmos, you're basically looking at 1/4 and 3/4 of the room width. They actually, when they originally did all this, had their height speakers in a theater on trellises that they could move. And they settled on really covering about the middle half of the theater laterally. So it's a different approach. And it's worthwhile to dig into that and see what the limitations of it are. And I think for music, like what he's doing, it's a lot different than what they're working with in movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what you've told me before, you know, in our 2-hour-long conversations, is that the placement that they recommend should give you smoother pans up and over, and let, you know, up around you. You should get a smoother pan just because there's more coverage and less angular separation between the speakers. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's each approach has its weakness. I mean, if you leave too large of a gap overhead, you don't get the smooth movement directly overhead. Now, you know, you're still, because of the way we hear pans as they move, you're still going to hear that movement, even if you have a little bit of a gap overhead, within reason. But when you're trying to place things statically in one spot, that's when you'll start to hear that that sound field kind of break down. It's a lot different than, I don't know if they actually have a rule that you're supposed to keep objects moving, but it's pretty rare. These movies on the Trinoff viewer that you don't see them moving all over the place.
So you asked a question in the comments about 712 and why things are locked that way. So basically, I can't print out something that's 712. When I export it, it's just it. That's it. Okay. When it comes to bed layer versus object, it's literally the type of audio channel that's in whatever, Pro Tools, Logic, whatever. And so if something is set to 712, that's all it'll be. Right. And I can move it up, but if I move it up, it like kind of, it's kind of like a dome shape. It goes up to the center. Right. So, you know, I'm glad you called in because I didn't want to type all that. But I don't have a choice on how it outputs. It just outputs the Atmos master file. So that's it.
My question on that was because so many of the movies we've seen come out in the home in Atmos, Ready Player One being a perfect example, are mixed to just 9 static objects, where the heights are just 2 static objects at top mid, and any pans you're hearing are like basically pre-processed. I've tried to figure out why anybody would do that when they're basically converting a theatrical object mix down to the home. I understand that you only have 15 total objects to work with in the home once it gets converted out for the home. But it's weird because the 2 mixers I've talked to about it said that it's actually harder to do that, but some studios kind of mandate it. And I wonder if that's to support things like sound bars. It seems odd that they actually put effort into making it worse.
Yeah. Yeah, because any of the experiment videos or demo videos that I've done with Atmos, where you see the Atmos render and a little ball moving around, those are all objects.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the effect of the female vocal in Panic Room going around the room, that was a bed layer. That was a 712. That was locked in. Okay. So it actually uses a different interface to move around the room. So I don't know what that does, but like that's just the way I see it, and that's the only way I can work with it in the software.
Maybe maybe what we can do sometime. Wow, we stay up pretty late, huh, Chana?
Yeah.
But maybe you could hop on a video call with us, because we're able to actually mix. So Chana will share his computer. We're able to mix, and as long as you have some headphones, you'll be able to hear the binaural version, and you can kind of see, what's happening, right? And then we can export it and then send it, and you can try it out on your system and see if it's how it's supposed to sound. So it's kind of fun.
I would be curious just to know more about it from the content creation perspective too. But I really just wanted to say, for everybody else listening, though we have these discussions, don't let it be death by a thousand cuts. We are talking about, minor differences in what is really going to sound great no matter which way you do it. You're going to be more happy than you would be if you didn't have Atmos at all. So I don't want anybody to get turned off by it. We're being nitpicky because that's what we do.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I said it's like, it's like having, it's an 80%. It's still going to sound great. It's going to sound better. You're going to hear stuff up there, and obviously, certain movies going to sound better than others. But for the most, I mean, shit sounded cool. It still sounds cool. But now that I've messed around with a 512, a 514, and a 714, I'm like, oh well, shit, I shouldn't have done that. Because now I don't want to watch any movies in my living room. So
I hope it also helps content creators, right? There's going to be a lot of folks out there making music, and normally they're just making stereo, right? But now they might start thinking, hey, I can make an Atmos. I mean, that's something I can do. I can pay a little extra and be able to do something like that. And if this helps them make better stuff in the future, that's a win for all of us. Just understanding how everything's working and the limitations. And I think that's where we're at with it. We're just trying to, we're not complaining to complain, right? We're complaining because we want something better, and we're trying to figure out a better way to do things. And sometimes you have to talk about what doesn't work, right? So it's a little bit uncomfortable to talk about what doesn't work sometimes.
And again, a lot of this kind of falls back to Dolby. They're not doing themselves any favor from a marketing perspective for enthusiasts, because they're about as clear as mud. I mean, you have different guidelines in different places and different standards for music versus theater, and they're not helping themselves there.
Exactly. No, I'm laughing because somebody said, "Someone wake
up Michael."
Michael
he's just like nodding. I'm like, I can't really see because of the glare in his glasses. He might be asleep.
I had Michael talk pretty much the whole time last time. His whole experience, and I was quieter than ever.
That's funny.
Someone earlier said that Michale's not wearing pants, and I'm firmly convinced that there's nothing but the Holy Ghost between him and that scene.
Oh no!
I got shorts on, man. Cargo pants, man. Those have been out of style forever.
That's almost as
Dude,
bad.
I'm wearing cargos too, bro.
I wear them.
My wife tells me I need to burn those things.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Always good talking, man. Yeah, always good talking, and sharing your info. I still have your homework assignments up. This guy gave me 2 PDFs, which I'm very appreciative of. One is called Virtual Sound Source Positioning Using Vector Bass Amplitude Panning by Dr. V.A. Polke. All right. And the other one I have open here is Elevation Perception, Phantom Images in the Vertical Hemisphere by James Barber.
Ooh,
and so these
that one sounds saucy. I like that.
Yeah. So if you guys think that we're like going too deep into this, we're trying to boil it down, actually. I'm trying to boil it down as much as possible, because this is the type of stuff that we're sharing when we're on the phone. We're talking about pretty nerdy stuff.
I'll be walking the dogs, picking up some poop, and be like, Joe, dude, I just thought of something. If A and B and C are true, then D and E have to be true too. And he's like, oh yeah, let's try that out. So it's like, you know, it's like discovery. It's like something cool, something new, and something that, you know, a lot of people aren't doing.
This is what we're talking about, right? We're talking about this sort of stuff. Okay?
I don't know the equation. I don't know, but the other stuff.
You know, this is what we're looking at here. Okay, that's one of them, and then the other one is, let's see how the other one looks here. Elevation perception. Okay, we're talking about this. Is that the same one? Did I just share the same exact one?
Dude.
I did.
That should be two different things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here we go. That's elevation perception. That's this one. All right. So we're, you know, we're trying to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
trying to boil
charts
it
in that
down,
one,
but there's only a certain amount that you can boil down without losing a lot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man. Call in anytime, man.
I'm not sure if anybody heard the 2-hour conversation we had, and I've had conversation about that long with Chana. Like, I'm not sure how many people would hang in for the full length of that. So it does require a lot of kind of going over it and breaking it down to the fundamentals.
Oh, I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of the hardcore enthusiasts would be interested, like some of the stuff that you were showing me, like, you know, the different software that you were showing me. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Hold on a second. Kids are running.
I'm excited.
I was like, who put Atmos in the talk show? Did you hear? So Dolby had a new video. I think Dolby had a new video out today. It's called "Creating a Podcast in Atmos." I'm like, oh, all right. We're gonna listen to podcasts on the good old home theater now. Does everybody get their own speaker? I can't wait.
I'm not really sure what the use case is for that, but at least it's possible.
There's 11 people on the panel. Each one gets a speaker. That's a Dolby Atmos podcast.
Maybe what we could do is, for people who want to nerd out, maybe Reverend Slim, maybe one day we'll kind of go over the stuff that we were talking about on my channel, you know. And if people aren't interested, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
whenever you want.
Yeah, man.
And maybe Steve from Home Theater Gurus will be there to, you know, to share his information too.
Yeah, he has one of the better speaker placement videos that I've seen anyone do.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to talk to him.
Sounds good. Well, cool, man.
All right, guys.
Yeah, we've been on for a while. All right.
Yep.
Talk to you later.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, take care. Bye. All right, let me stop this here. We're running long. Poor Tim.
Yeah.
Tim had it easy for the first hour and a half.
Well, all he has to do is make one long video about
one
placement. That's it.
It's like no editing. Just put Auro 3D. Boom.
Yeah.
Or Dolby sucks.
We're talking about Dolby Atmos.
Dolby sucks. Sorry, that's
people are complaining. We're only talking about Auro. We're talking about Atmos this whole time.
Yeah. So, now it's Atmos versus Auro. Now Atmos.
Man, killing me.
Yeah. Being a major geek, I'd be up for it. So look, yeah, Joe, I think some people would
do it. We could do it. I don't care about the, you know, if only a small subsection of my audience is interested, at least they're very interested. So that's fine.
Yeah. Since YouTube has 5.1, maybe you should do a LCR of the podcast. One speaker per mic.
Maybe, you know, actually, where's that thing that I put up? So here is the link. That thing that I was talking about, the Atmos call out. I had to do some stuff to kind of make it work, but
don't tell.
Yeah,
don't tell.
I had to try it out. And so here's what I want to know. Comment and let me know if when you listen to this. So this is on YouTube. Okay, you have to be using a streaming device that supports 5.1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and let me know if you have an Atmos setup. If you mix it down to 5.1, or even if you have a 5.1, if you listen to it, let me know if you're getting a perception of height. Let me know if you're activating your rear surrounds if you have a 7.1. You know, let me know what you're finding out. But I think here, I'm going to prime you here. I think what you'll notice is even if you're listening over 5.1, you may get a perception of height, which is interesting. So that's all. There's the link, and I'll try to link it down below too in the description.
Yeah.
And Tim, if he cuts it up, please put the link also. But yeah, what else we got? I think after every Monday podcast, we have an after show. If you're interested in joining us, go to patreon.com/daily HiFi.